The Young and the Restless Spoilers. For months now, Harrison's absence from Genoa City has left an emptiness in the Newman and Abbott households, a silence that seemed too heavy for such a young child's presence to leave behind. Questions about where he had gone and how he had been living lingered in the air, but the truth was simpler than the pain it caused. Harrison had been living with Summer in Milan. Summer had done her best to provide him stability in the Italian city, giving him the kind of routine and calm that she believed he needed after so much chaos in his young life. For a time, it seemed like the distance was necessary, even healthy, but nothing in the world of the Newmans and Abbotts ever remains untouched for long. Now the moment has come for Harrison to return, and with it comes the unraveling of truths that neither Summer nor Kyle are fully prepared to face. The decision for Summer to bring Harrison back should have been a simple family reunion, a chance for father and son to reconnect after months apart. Yet the reality was far messier. Summer and Harrison traveled not to Genoa City but to Nice, a city that should have promised beauty, peace, and new beginnings. Instead, what they found there filled Summer with disgust and shame. The scene that greeted her upon arrival was one that exposed the raw truth of Kyle's life in her absence, a truth that shattered whatever illusions she had clung to about the man she once loved and the father Harrison still needed. What Summer discovered was not the responsible co-parent she had hoped for, but a man consumed by his reckless pursuit of passion, a man so entangled in his own desires that he had neglected the most important responsibility of all, his son. Summer was blindsided by what she witnessed. To her, Kyle had always been many things, complicated, flawed, at times too impulsive. But she had never expected him to stoop so low as to let love affairs and his personal indulgences take priority over his child. In Nice, she saw a man so wrapped up in the drama of his romantic entanglements that he had failed to notice how much time he had already lost with Harrison, time that could never be regained. The disappointment hit her harder than she expected. As much as their relationship had ended in bitterness, a part of Summer had continued to hope that Kyle would always rise to the occasion for his son. Instead, she saw someone who looked weak, distracted, and undeserving of the pedestal she had once placed him on. The confrontation between Summer and Kyle was inevitable. Their reunion, which could have been tender, turned into a fiery clash that stripped away any pretense of civility. Summer's voice trembled with anger as she accused Kyle of choosing his love life over his son, of abandoning Harrison for the sake of fleeting romance and empty passion. She could not comprehend how the boy she had once raised as her own had been pushed so carelessly to the sidelines. Kyle, defensive and frustrated, lashed back with arguments of his own, insisting that he had tried, that he was torn between too many obligations, that Summer did not understand the pressures he faced. But to Summer, his excuses only highlighted how far he had fallen, how deeply he had let irresponsibility take root in his life. The debate quickly shifted from accusations about the past to questions about the future. Who would raise Harrison? Where would he live? Kyle, overwhelmed by his own shortcomings, insisted that Harrison should stay with Summer. To him, it was the easiest solution. Harrison was already used to living with her in Milan, and she had proven herself capable of providing him a stable environment. But his reasoning cut Summer to the core, because it revealed a truth she did not want to face. As much as she had loved Harrison and cared for him, he was not her biological son, and the burden of raising him was not hers to bear forever. Summer longed for her own freedom, for the chance to build a life that was hers alone, untethered to the painful ties of her failed marriage. She wanted happiness again, the kind of happiness she could not find while being chained to Kyle's decisions or responsible for the child he seemed too willing to push away. Her refusal shocked Kyle, though it should not have. Summer made it clear that while she loved Harrison dearly, she could not continue to shoulder the weight of Kyle's neglect. She reminded him that Harrison needed a father who would choose him first, who would fight for him, who would not treat him like an afterthought in the chaos of romance and ambition. If Kyle could not be that father, then the boy would suffer, no matter how much Summer tried to fill the gaps. For Summer, the time had come to put herself first, to pursue her own happiness, even if it meant stepping away from a child she had once considered her own. It was a heartbreaking stance, one that revealed the depth of her exhaustion and the clarity of her conviction. Kyle, for his part, was left reeling. He had expected Summer to continue playing the role she always had, to step in where he faltered, to keep Harrison safe and cared for while he tried to sort out his own life. Her rejection forced him to confront the reality he had been avoiding. He could not pass the responsibility of fatherhood onto someone else. If he wanted to be Harrison's father, truly and fully, he had to act like one. He had to prioritize, to grow up, to stop hiding behind excuses and distractions. The argument in Nice stripped him of his illusions, exposing him not only to Summer's disappointment but also to his own self-loathing. For the first time in a long while, Kyle was forced to face the question that had haunted him since Harrison was born: was he capable of being the father his son needed? The tragedy of the situation is that Harrison, too young to fully understand the words hurled in anger between his parents, will inevitably feel the weight of their decisions. He may not grasp the reasons why his mother figure and his father clash so bitterly, but he will sense the instability, the tension, and the pain. Children, after all, always do. Harrison deserves better than to be a bargaining chip between two adults too consumed by their own needs to put him first. He deserves stability, love, and the security of knowing that he is wanted, not as an obligation, not as a burden, but as a son. Whether Kyle is ready to provide that will determine not only the future of his relationship with Harrison but also the trajectory of his own growth as a man. The confrontation in Nice leaves the Newman and Abbott families with questions that cannot be answered easily. Will Kyle step up and prove that he can be the father Harrison deserves, or will he continue to spiral into selfish choices that leave his son neglected? Will Summer find the courage to break free completely, to pursue her own life without guilt, or will the pull of Harrison's love keep her bound to a situation she cannot sustain? The answers remain uncertain, but one thing is clear: Harrison's return marks a turning point, not just for the boy himself but for everyone around him. His presence forces truths into the light, truths that can no longer be ignored. In Genoa City, where legacies are built and destroyed by the choices of parents, Harrison's future will serve as a mirror for the failures and redemptions of those who claim to love him. Harrison has always been more than just a child in the tangled lives of the Newmans and the Abbotts. He is a symbol of innocence caught in the crossfire of generations of rivalry, love, and betrayal. For the past several months, he has been living quietly in Milan with Summer, away from the relentless drama that seems to engulf Genoa City at every turn. Summer's care provided him stability and warmth, a temporary shield from the storms that swirl around his family. But Harrison cannot remain sheltered forever. His return to Genoa City is imminent, and with it comes the certainty that he will be thrust back into a world where secrets cannot be hidden, where loyalties are tested daily, and where the adults in his life struggle to find clarity in their own chaos. For Harrison, coming home means stepping into the embrace of familiar faces, but also into the unsettling reality that not all is well in his family. One of the strongest bonds he has formed is with Clare, his former nanny, whose presence in his life has always been a source of comfort and stability. Their connection is more than just a caretaker-child relationship, it is one of trust and affection, forged during moments when Clare herself needed purpose and redemption. In Harrison, Clare saw innocence worth protecting. In Clare, Harrison found the steady reassurance of someone who listened and understood him, someone who treated him as more than a bystander in the ongoing turmoil. Now, with his return, that bond will be rekindled, and it will matter more than ever, because Harrison is no longer the kind of child who can be distracted or pacified. He is intelligent, perceptive, and sensitive to the undercurrents around him. He notices the tension, the raised voices, the lingering silences, and he is capable of connecting the dots far faster than the adults realize. This perceptiveness makes it nearly impossible for Kyle and Clare to hide the turmoil that has been escalating around them. Their relationship, once built on mutual trust and a shared vision of providing Harrison with stability, has been tested again and again by the shadow of Audra. Kyle has spent months trying to balance the fragile new bond he has built with Clare against the wreckage left behind by his entanglement with Audra. Each time he thinks the past is behind him, another secret threatens to surface, another whisper of betrayal creeps into Claire's mind, and another confrontation looms. The trip to Nice only worsened the cracks, leaving questions unanswered and suspicions festering. Claire wants to trust Kyle, she wants to believe in the life they are trying to build together, but the memory of what she suspects, what she nearly saw and what Kyle refuses to clarify, haunts her. And Kyle, rather than face the truth head-on, continues to evade, to deflect, to hope that silence will make the problem disappear. But silence, in Genoa City, only makes the truth louder when it inevitably explodes. Claire's mistrust grows heavier with each passing day, and it has begun to change her. Where once she found peace in her relationship with Kyle, she now finds herself consumed by her contempt for Audra, channeling her energy into anger instead of love. Audra, for her part, thrives on this tension. Audra has never been the type of woman to back down or walk away. If anything, conflict only sharpens her resolve. She sees Claire's presence as a threat, not only to her lingering attachment to Kyle but also to her new entanglement with Nate Hastings. Claire's subtle sabotage, her refusal to let Audra manipulate her way into happiness without consequences, has already placed her in the crosshairs. And if there is one thing certain in Genoa City, it is that Audra does not forgive, and she does not forget. The brewing rivalry between Claire and Audra threatens to consume everything in its path. Claire's resentment of Audra is no longer just about jealousy or suspicion. It has become personal, visceral, something that defines her every move. She is on the verge of disrupting Audra's romance with Nate Hastings, a union that Audra sees as not only her personal happiness but also a strategic move in solidifying her own position of power. Claire's interference strikes at the heart of Audra's ambitions, and Audra will not allow it to continue unchecked. Retaliation is inevitable. And when Audra decides to strike back, it will not just be Claire who suffers, it will be Kyle, Harrison, and anyone else who stands in her way. For Kyle, the situation grows increasingly dire. He desperately clings to the hope that he can preserve his romance with Claire, that he can keep their fragile bond intact despite the rising tide of secrets, suspicions, and betrayals. But his own inability to confront what truly happened behind the closed doors in Nice threatens to unravel everything. Claire may not know every detail, but she knows enough to sense that something is wrong. She knows Kyle is hiding something, and each time he dodges her questions, each time he chooses silence over truth, her trust in him crumbles further. For Claire, it is not just about the act itself, whatever it may have been, it is about the lies, the omissions, the refusal to let her into the whole truth. In love, secrecy is poison, and Kyle is pouring it with every evasive word. Meanwhile, Harrison stands unknowingly at the center of this storm. He may not grasp the full complexity of adult relationships, but his sharp mind and keen intuition make him aware of the tension. He sees the way Claire's smile falters when Audra's name is mentioned. He notices the edge in Kyle's voice when he tries to change the subject. He feels the weight in the room when conversations end too abruptly, when eyes dart away too quickly, when truths remain unspoken. Harrison's intelligence is both a gift and a curse, because while it makes him mature and empathetic beyond his years, it also exposes him to the emotional turbulence of the adults around him. He deserves stability, love, and protection, yet once again he is in danger of becoming collateral damage in the battles of those who should know better. The return to Genoa City will only amplify these conflicts. With Harrison back among his extended family, every move Kyle and Claire make will be under scrutiny, every whisper about Nice and about Audra will carry further, every fracture in their relationship will become more visible. The Newmans and Abbotts thrive on gossip, secrets, and betrayal, and the reintroduction of Harrison into the daily fabric of Genoa City life ensures that nothing can remain hidden for long. For Claire, the risk of losing Harrison's trust and affection is as devastating as the risk of losing Kyle's love. For Kyle, the possibility of losing both Claire and Harrison could be the consequence of his evasions. And for Audra, the opportunity to strike when her rivals are weakest is simply too tempting to ignore. In the end, what looms ahead is not just another love triangle or custody debate, it is a collision of trust, betrayal, and revenge that will leave scars long after the battles are over. Harrison's return marks the beginning of a new chapter, one in which innocence and perception collide with secrets and lies, and the results could shatter the fragile balance holding the Newman and Abbott families together. The truth about Nice, the war between Clare and Audra, the silence of Kyle, and the intelligence of a boy who sees too much, all of it is heading toward an explosion that no one in Genoa City will be able to escape.